Hey, Nelson, alcoholic addict. That's not my real name. I use a pen name here at LOL Sober. Um, I am at the airport right now, and I'm gonna go on a rant about travel. And I swear, I swear, there's a spiritual message to pass along, and I'll get there. But you gotta just let me cook for a minute because I've had a bonkers 3 days, and so let me rant. Give me a minute. I had a pretty basic trip planned. I was supposed to, on Tuesday night, go from Connecticut to Virginia, and then on Thursday, from Virginia back to Connecticut. No big deal, right? Well, I got to the airport on Tuesday evening at around the same time that, this just biblical storm was arriving. And when I looked out the windows at the airport, it was like lightning, wind. It was some serious Wizard of Oz shit. And so I got through the TSA line, and something happened that I have never experienced or heard of. The power at the airport went out, just completely dark for maybe 2 minutes. There were audible gasps of like 100 people, like, "Ugh, what is happening?" And then it was like something out of a Die Hard movie. Like, gates started closing, locking people into terminals, and there were people rolling on the ground to get in or out. A bunch of state troopers kind of appeared out of nowhere. There were ATM machines blinking and alarms blaring, and it really was like being on the set of Ocean's 15 or whatever we're up to there. It was like a heist. But finally things calmed down a little bit, and they started getting people on the airplanes. But none of the computers were working, so it was pretty old school. A lot of paper being handed around to get you on airplanes and off. So they got us on, we got in the airplane, we pulled out in the runway, then they pulled us off, then they put us back out, then they pulled us back off, and the pilot just kept saying, "Hey, it's going to be another 10 or 15 minutes. And finally, at about 7:55 p.m., he came over the loudspeaker and he said something that I hope I never hear again, which was, "Ladies and gentlemen, we were told by the air traffic control tower if we didn't hear anything from them by 8 p.m., our flight path is probably clear and we can take off. So we're going to try to sneak one past the control tower and get up in the air momentarily." And I was like, excuse me, sir? Do we want to be sneaking planes past air traffic control in any way? Like, no thank you. But sure enough, we got up in the air. I guess we snuck one past air traffic control, but it was a bumpy ride, lots of big drops. It was like an amusement park ride. There were people yelling and letting out gasps, and it was bonkers. And so eventually my plane landed in Philadelphia, and I had about 15 minutes to get from my connection to my connection. And what a joke. I forgot that one end of the Philadelphia airport is in Philadelphia. The other one is, I don't know, somewhere out near Pittsburgh, I think. I rode 2 different buses to eventually get to a terminal that was just packing it in for the day. And I got a hotel room at the airport, and I grabbed another flight the next day. So as I type this, it's Thursday morning, and I am staring at an airplane I was supposed to be on. I had a 6:25 a.m. flight. I woke up at 4:30 a.m. and started trying to get an Uber. No luck. Tried getting a taxi. No luck. And finally I got an Uber. Very late. I arrived at the airport 10 minutes before my flight took off. And I thought I had a chance. Nope. Airline said I arrived too late, and so they bumped me. And so I am sitting here. I got in, got a new ticket. I'm sitting at a gate for a flight 2 hours from now, and I am freaking staring at the plane. They're delayed. They're just sitting there. I can see the plane. It's like winking at me. I'm waiting for the pilots to put down the cockpit window and just give me the finger. So anyway, hey, enough of me whining. I'm saying all of this because spiritual experiences, they aren't always lilacs and unicorns, you know? Sometimes I learn more from bumpy experiences than smooth ones. And in this case, it's just a good reminder that life is unmanageable. Like, whether I'm sober or not, it is unmanageable, and I'm powerless over most things. When I was drinking and drugging, life was totally unmanageable. I was powerless over alcohol and drugs. It was very, very clear. And even in early sobriety, life was still pretty unmanageable. I didn't have the money to pay all my bills, and I mean that figuratively and literally. I didn't have the money to actually pay credit card bills and mortgages, but I also did not have currency with friends and loved ones now that they knew the truth. So I had tabs I had to pay, and with 4 weeks sober, guess what? I couldn't pay any of them, And so then I started putting together days and weeks and months, and good things began to happen. I got promoted at work, and relationships improved, and my life turned around, and it stayed turned around to this day. But here's the thing about finding success in recovery, at least for me. It can be extremely detrimental to the way that I view the world. I really start to think I'm smart, It's not that I think I'm God. It's just that I start to pull back my will. I start to trust myself more than something bigger than me. And I just start to think, hey, I got this, And so that's how a dumpster fire, like I just described, can be valuable. I have no control over biblical storms. I can't make airplanes take off or land, and I can't summon Ubers out of thin air. I'm at the mercy of the universe. And so I prayed more the past 3 days than I did in probably the 3 months prior to that. And it wasn't the kind of prayers I want to be making. I want to have a steady relationship with a higher power. I don't want foxhole prayers at the airport, but it's a first step. It's the equivalent of that sad late night text that you send to an ex-girlfriend or boyfriend where you're like, you up, God? So now I have about 2 hours till my new flight takes off, and I'm hoping this one is on time, smooth, and doesn't require sneaking anything past air traffic control. So hey, thanks for letting me share.